before we start today's podcast, I just wanted to apologise for the audio quality because I was using my headset mic, so I just wanted to apologise for the audio quality. So I hope you guys enjoy this podcast, and in future I'm going to be using this microphone that I'm using now. So I hope you guys can still enjoy this, and I will speak to you guys soon. Have a good day and enjoy. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and today I'm joined by a very special guest. As you can see, how you doing? How you doing today, Jack?
I'm doing very well, thank you, mate. Very well. How are you? How are you, Anne?
I'm alright there. I'm I'm just I'm just enjoying the day.
Yep, yep. Fair play. I mean, same here. Same here. There's not much we can do really in a lockdown, but hopefully the world goes back to normal. I do just want to say, Anne, you've had some brilliant guests on your show. I've watched a few of them. I like the one you did with Rory, and you had the what was her name from Sky? I've just gone blank. What's her name?
No,
Laura,
no.
that's it. Yeah, Laura. Yeah. I've gone blank. I'm under pressure here. But I do just want to say I'm probably the biggest guest. Is that right, Anthony? Would you agree?
In in the in, in terms of YouTube numbers, yeah.
That's all the world cares about right now, isn't it? That's all.
Yeah, as I said before we start recording, I do appreciate you giving me some of your time because obviously you're a very busy person.
Yeah, no, mate, no. We've been meaning to try and for a little while, haven't we? And I'm glad I could get on and have a chat to you. I've got a few questions for you later on as well. And as you know, Anne, I am a podcast host, so I will be judging your interview skills. So yeah, take it away, sir. Take it away.
Ellie, 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 Ellie's not very high bar to get. Ellie's not very high bar to reach. Because half the time, half the time, you don't do any research anyway.
And how are you finding lockdown, mate? Like how are you finding it?
To be honest, it's been normal to me. It's been normal to me because I haven't really done anything, and so I've obviously been self isolating, self isolating. So
Yeah.
I've just been, I've just been getting on with the channel.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. So you mentioned there that that I don't do research. How much research do you do?
Well, did I ever get somebody on like Laura on?
Yeah,
I do shit there with Wikipedia page, and if it's somebody like Natasha Jonas, the boxer, I do search them on YouTube and I listen to the interviews, if you know what I mean. So yeah.
yeah, that's fair enough, fair enough. So yeah, you probably work harder on this podcast than I do on mine, mate. So fair play to you.
Well, well, to be fair, on your podcast, it's a it's a two-person team with
Yeah,
obviously you and Steve, you and Steve, you and Stevie. They come down, they come down over one another.
yeah, exactly. It is. I don't know how you do it on your own, mate, because I couldn't do a podcast on my own because I always like to have Stevie there to bounce off, as you say. What do you think of Stevie?
I, I think he's a good for, he's a good for, he's a good foil for you to be on. to be honest, because I think giving a sense of maturity, maturity to the podcast.
Well, I wouldn't take that personally, mate. I would basically calling me an immature little prick, and yeah, that's what you're doing there. I don't know how this interview's going to go because I'm used to bullying Stevie, but clearly you're going to be the one bullying me today. So,
To be in all honesty, mate, I like to be honest. I like to be honest with the person I'm interviewing. I, obviously, obviously, I know where the line is, but I do
yeah,
like to be honest. In my opinion, of the person, yeah, because to be honest with you, you know your, you know your main kind of stuff. You know your main kind of stuff. I'm not a big fan of that stuff. To be honest, it did a lot for, it did a lot for me.
yeah. That's fair enough. No, that's the main thing I appreciate in somebody is honesty and stuff like that. And I think that shines through in the videos that you upload. I mean, one of your latest videos is you talking about wearing nappies, and that's such a cool thing to just be able to come out and speak about. It takes a lot of balls to do that. So fair play to you. And yeah, you. If you're not into the main channel stuff, that's completely fine. I'm not too sure that I'm into it myself, Anthony. To be honest, the podcast is my main thing. So no, keep it up, mate. I think that's why a lot of people are warming to you because you bring an honesty to your content. So yeah, keep it up, bud.
And, and, I'm, and, I'm, and I'm finally learning not to take it too seriously in terms of views and subscribers. And I'm just gonna have fun with it from now on. Because obviously, I don't know whether you know this, but I got a shout out on True News. So as you can imagine, I went from like 700 subscribers to over two 2,000 subscribers pretty much overnight, yeah. And I didn't really know how to deal with it in the right way, if you know what I mean. But I
Yeah,
think,
yeah, no, that's quality, mate. That's quality, and just some of the sort of caliber of guests that you've had on, like props to you, mate. Fair play to you. How far do you want to take it? Who's your dream guest? Let me ask you that.
well, I, do, I just want to say before I tell you, I do like my I do like my wrestling. So my dream guest would be would be somebody like John Cena or
Mm.
or Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon.
Hmm. Yeah, I see. This is the thing. I don't know if you remember the happy hour episode I did, but I had a wrestler on there at some point. So some lad got in touch and he did wrestling. And as you say, Anthony, you're an honest person. I'm a very honest person as well, as I'm sure you know. And I used to. I'm not a huge fan of wrestling myself. I'm not a huge fan because I didn't kind of like the whole sort of fake side of it and whatnot. But he really opened my eyes to it because what do you enjoy about wrestling? Is it like the sport aspect or is it like the storylines behind each of the characters?
To be honest with you, yeah, it's more of the storytelling and all the aspect. I
Yeah.
I appreciate the sports side of it in terms of the athletic, the athletic, the athletic ability, traits of things like that. But I prefer like the characters and the storylines.
Yeah, fair enough. It's kind of like a drama in a way, isn't it, rather than a sport. And I think that's like people like me who are quite close-minded to it and quite ignorant to it. I think that's something that we don't always really appreciate. We just think it's like loads of like adults in pants like throwing each other against like against the canvas. But I think, yeah. Hustle Malone, that was his name. The guy that came on. He kind of opened my eyes to it a bit. To be fair, are you, Anne? Are you a football fan? Sorry, I know this is your podcast, and I'm flipping the questions around here. But yeah, are you a football
I, the me and football are a weird relation to. Like, I don't really support an out and out team, but I like the sport of football, if you know what I mean. Like,
fan?
I'm not really into a cult club, if you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, True George is a Newcastle fan and people like that, and that's not
Mm.
me. Like, my family, my family support me that, but I don't take that seriously.
Yeah, it's probably the best way to be, mate. Because I'm a huge football fan, and when you devote your life to a club, you set yourself up for heartbreak and pain. And here's one for you, mate. Right. So let's see if you have done your research. Who do I support?
You're, you're, you're West Ham fan, and you get a lot of invested, but
Mm.
because I please don't, please, please tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe you got some sort of friendship with the owners, son.
Yeah, so you're impressing me. You know more about me than Stevie knows about me, for fuck's sakes. Yeah, no, you're bang on there, mate. Yeah, I'm friends with the owner's son, and I think some of the fans didn't like that. I think they're warming to me a little bit now because I recently got a job with West Ham, and I'm kind of like helping bridge the gap between the club and the fans because the fans were very, they were once very far removed, but I'm that kind of bridge now. So, yeah, it's going well, mate.
The way I look at it, I can like you in life, and as long as you don't retaliate, my apologies, as long as you don't retaliate in a negative way towards people in terms of like physical violence or anything like that, I think it's all positive. Because because I believe if you're a really likable person, like a lot of people say that you're great, you can become a bit of an arse. Also, as we as we both we both know, especially on YouTube, especially on YouTube.
I think with me, and I appreciate you saying those kind words, but I think when I first started on YouTube, because I was very young, I wanted to be a YouTuber, and then I met a lot of YouTubers. A lot of them were quite stuck up and arrogant, so the love that I had for them, I kind of turned into like a bit of like the black sheep of YouTube, and then I started to like slag them off, and I came a bit of like this horrible kid in my bedroom making commentary videos, and the podcast for me has really shown a different light on YouTubers and whatnot, because most of them that come into the studio now are nice people. So yeah, I see what you mean. As long as I think the podcast has helped me be a more positive person, and the main channel's still for sort of taking the piss a little bit, which is probably why you prefer the podcast more than the main channel and stuff. But I wanted to ask you, Anthony, how do you deal with hate and stuff like that online? Because you mentioned it in your videos about you wearing pads and stuff. You said that you was expecting to get like arseholes in the comments, and you're going to get arseholes no matter who you are, no matter what you do. But I read through some of the comments, and there was actually quite a lot of support. How have you found it?
Well, to be honest with you, as you just rightly said, it was a lot, it was 99.9% was all positive. To be honest, because of my audience is so small, I've got a very loyal audience. Obviously, as I grow, I won't I will naturally develop haters and trolls and things like that. But at the moment, people are people are giving me a lot of support, especially especially on that video. But but, but I was really worried about because obviously that's not quote unquote normal YouTube videos. If you know
Mm,
what I mean. If you know what I
mm.
mean.
Yeah. Well, I think you're doing a really important thing, mate. I really do. I really do because some kind of like disability stuff, like a lot of able-bodied people, they don't understand it. They don't understand like the struggles and the day-to-day life. Like I know I keep referring to your previous video, but I never knew that about you, and I never knew that was a thing. And I think the more that disabled people from all walks of life, like I watched this blind girl on TikTok, and she talks about the struggles of being blind and not being able to. She has this app, because I would have never thought about this, right? But she has this app that helps her work out which flavor crisps are in the crisp packet, because we would never think of that, because obviously we can see, so we would never think of, oh, so we just pick up a packet and it will be like a green, oh, that's salt and vinegar and stuff like that. So I think her talking about it, it kind of, in a way, I hope that it reduces the hate comments, because people are hateful when they're ignorant, when they don't understand something. And having people like yourself in like the cerebral palsy community and stuff like that coming out and talking about it, I think that's only a good thing, mate. I think it really is. So yeah, props to you.
And to be honest, yeah, I I personally think, because of my disability, people are more likely to stick up for me as well. So I can imagine some people won't want people going back at them for taking the piss out of me. If you know,
Mm.
if you know what I mean, I could be wrong.
No, 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 no. But then I also don't think you need that, because I've seen your comebacks to some people, and you was having a good bit of banter with Rory, and it's like I could have 100 jokes lined up to hit you with right now, but I'm sure you'd hit me back twice as hard. So I'm kind of holding off on that respect.
I'm, 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 I'm glad you, I'm glad you enjoy. I'm glad you enjoy my old style because for the past couple of weeks I've been trying to do, I've been trying to do a professional, more professional style, and I've been hating it because I'm,
Mm,
because I, because I felt I needed to do that. If I'm gonna get people like, obviously, as I said, Lord Woodson and people like that. But but I realised, yeah, that that style was really boring. I need YouTube, because obviously, because I speak, I, I'm never going to be like a proper TV presenter, quote unquote. So why am I trying to be one?
mm. Yeah, I know what you mean. I think a lot of people fall into that trap, man. To be fair, like YouTube, you got to remember, mate. When it first started, it was this kid in the bedroom next door. People could relate to that person. Like it was never meant to be this like professional production. And obviously, with anything, as time goes by, people try and up the quality to try and get the views and whatnot. And we have seen this change, sorry, and this transition. And now you've got people like the Sidemen making these like TV style productions and stuff, but it doesn't need to be like that. It doesn't need to be like it. And I think the reason why, like when you asked me to come on, I had a little flick through your channel, and I liked the kind of banter you had with people. And you do, not you personally, but you lose a bit of that when you try and be too professional. So like the podcast, when I do it, obviously I put in a little bit of research, a little being the key word there, and have a structure, but really it's just two, three, four lads just sitting in a room taking the piss. And I think, yeah, you're professional enough, mate. You ask the right questions, but ultimately, yeah, just have a laugh, and people will be with you for the ride, I'm sure.
Yeah, because once this whole COVID thing is, I don't want to say over,
Mm,
once to calm down enough to where we can actually go out and do stuff. I would like to get into a proper studio eventually. 'Cause as you've said it before, doing it over Zoom is great and that, but I think it would be a million times better in the studio, so you don't have to deal with lag and things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. I 100% agree. I'm kind of, when it comes to happy hour, because it's so reactive and it's so so for anyone who doesn't know, Happy Hour is my podcast, and there's comedy at the heart of it. So we have to be quite quick on our comebacks and our response, and you do lose a little bit of that over Zoom and over the delay. And I mean, I live in Norwich, and we only discovered the internet about 4 years ago, so my internet speed is not great at all. Anthony, where do you live, mate?
I live in Birmingham.
Okay. So you got the internet about 8 years ago, so a little bit before Norwich. So you should be all right on that front, my friend.
I've, I've always wondered why is Norwich like to live in?
Um, it's all right. It gets a bad stick. Everyone thinks we're like farmers and we just dig up turnips 24/7. People think that we just live in fields and stuff, and I mean there is an element of that. If I drive from Norwich to London, it's very flat. Like Norfolk is renowned for being super flat, but where I live at the moment is in the middle of Norwich, and it's kind of like a mini London. Like we have everything we need here, but everyone kind of knows everyone. So if you're not a great person, very much like me when I started out on YouTube, I'd walk around and a lot of people would recognize me and go, there's that prick, there's that prick. So it's not a great place to live if you're a bit of a prick, but hopefully I've changed people's perception now. But yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Obviously, I assume you obviously, I think you've been before, but your studio is in London, yeah. So, you know, she decided oh, I'm gonna, I'm gonna have it in I'm gonna have the whole studio in Norwich somewhere. Do you think people come down, or do you think it'll be a case of you by yourself, or somebody, or with somebody else?
That's a great question, mate. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I often get a lot of people question it and and they ask me why I don't do it in Norwich, because it would be so much easier. I could do my own studio from home. But yeah, you're bang on, Anthony. Like obviously you know how the game works. A lot of like the traditional celebrities and YouTubers and people that you see on my pod, they won't necessarily make the journey down to Norwich, because Norwich, obviously being in the east, is on the bump, so no one needs to pass through it. It's not like if you go from London to Liverpool, you might pass through Birmingham or somewhere like that. I'm not too sure geographically. So there's no reason for them to really come to Norwich. It's not like they can go, oh well, I'm on my way to Liverpool, so I'll pop in for an hour. It's like they've got to do 2 hours there, 2 hours back. And as much as I believe in our silly little show that we do, and as much as I love it, I don't think it'd be worth their time.
To be honest with you, that's my main concern. Like eventually moving into a studio, yeah, because with this, I can just contact somebody and say, "Do you want? Would you like to come on or whatever?" And then they can say yes or no. And if they say yes, I can say, "Okay, I'm available on this day, this time. Did it work for you?" And then if they say yes, I can just send them a link on the day, and then we can get it, cracking. But
Yeah,
obviously, I obviously with a studio, there's a lot more things they have to think about. I, Obviously with me, I'm a lot more, I'm a lot more reliant on people, and at the moment, I, and at the moment, I can't really pay somebody to be my employee, so to speak. They,
mm-hmm.
they're going to take a lot of hard work, a lot of hard work.
Yeah. Well, people that have even like been in the game for years, like so even they kind of need a producer and someone to run things. So yeah, it would be a lot of work. But and also I think I know you've got dreams of being in a studio, and that's great. But it's so accessible to jump on here and have a quick chat with Anthony. Like it's like we were going to do this on Friday, and then I had some time this afternoon, so I just messaged you, and you just made it happen. Just sent me a link. I was like, bang, done it straight away. Imagine if we had that studio booked in for Friday, and then like something come up that where it's like, oh, I'm getting paid this amount of money, oh, but then I don't want to let Ant down. Like you're going to get people that do let you down, and then you'd have paid for the studio time and all of that. So right now, I think given the sort of limited resources that we all have in these COVID times, I think, yeah, you're smashing it. You're in the right place, and keep it up where you can.
But my main concern, when the world go back, when the world go back to quote unquote normal, whatever that's gonna be. Obviously, people aren't gonna be as available as they are now. So I do think I can combat that. Do you think I do more episodes for myself, or do you think I just wait and then release them periodically? Did
Yeah.
I be? So what were you gonna say? My apologies.
No, you're right. Yeah, yeah, that is a concern. But I think ultimately, mate, like when the world, as you say, quote unquote, goes back to normal, whatever that is, people are going to be out and about. They're going to be doing things and stuff, but they're always going to have time for YouTube. They're always going to be. There's going to be times when they're sat at home and they wanna jump on and whatnot. So I don't think you have too much to worry about. How do you operate at the moment? Do you stockpile episodes and then release them, or do you film release?
Well, I was filming and then just releasing them on the same day. But as I've said, I realise as of late I've been taking it way too seriously in terms of that. So I'm just gonna record it. Obviously, we're recording it today, and then I might wait for another 2 or 3 weeks before even releasing the kids that we took. So so when people are excited, I can just I can just upload it. I can just upload the episode, and say there you go, enjoy.
Yeah, fair enough. And that way as well, I always find that if you pre-record and then you leave it a little while before uploading, you create a bit of a buzz online. So like I could tweet about it, and then we get people to wait, and then yeah, and then hopefully more views rather than just like throwing it right out there. Another idea as well. I don't know if this is something that you could consider, but when you have guests on, like how about if you ask the guest at the end to tag who should come on next. So obviously you need to agree because you're the host, but say like at the end of this, if I go, right, next up, Anne, I think you should get Stevie White on. And then I do like a public tag of like, you've got to do it next. And then you could get them to tag more people. And then that way you might find out about people that you don't even know exist right now. And then there's more guests for you. What do you think to that?
I'm gonna be honest. I would feel a bit awkward doing that because I know people mean well, yeah, when they
Yeah.
tag people, yeah. But I always think if that person genuinely did not want to come on, they're gonna feel really awkward saying no because even though they might, even though they might mean well, a lot of people could take it as, oh, you don't want to go, they don't want to go on the disabled guy podcast. And I know it sounds a bit silly, but I do get things like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's very thoughtful to obviously think about them. But I think like when you asked me to come on, like if I didn't want to come on, like to be completely honest, if that's what this chat is, I'd have just blanked you. I'd have just not replied. So I wouldn't have felt like bad not doing it. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just an arsehole, low to my core. But like how about then, right? Because I know Stevie's got all the time in the world, so I'll throw him under the bus. If you'll have him on your podcast, Anthony, I'm putting it out there now. Stevie White needs to come on the podcast. Maybe I'm jumping the gun, and you think, do I want Stevie White on my show? But there we go. I'm putting the tag out there.
I love him, and to be honest with you, yeah, I know you say you would just blank me, but to be honest, that annoys me more than anything.
Yeah,
I would rather you to contact me and say no. Or
yeah.
you don't even have to say no, thank you. Just say no, just say no, and I respect that lot, a lot more than just being ignored. Because the one thing you need to know about me, I'm, I'm, I'm persistent. So, the, I would leave it, I would leave it a couple of months, and then I would try again, and then
That's exactly how I ended up getting Ricky Gervais, mate. I wouldn't shut up about it. Just bang on. That's the best way to be, mate. I'm not saying that everyone's going to blank you. Of course they're not. But I've had the tendency to be that person in the past, and I certainly wouldn't take it personally, mate, because I've been blanked by everyone out there. It is a bit annoying, but to be honest with you, Ant, like your persistency to want to create the show that you love and get the people on that you love is admirable. Because like I told you, when did I think I told you in December that I was going to come on, and being completely honest, I completely forgot about it. Like I like to honour those promises when I make them, but I did. Like life got in the way and I forgot about it, and then you tweeted me a couple more times, and then it popped up, and then I happened to be on one night and I see it. So that's the best way, and I think that kind of you can take that and put that into YouTube's success on a whole as well, because with smaller creators, there, and I don't mean this in a patronizing way or in a nasty way, but with smaller YouTubers, no matter how good their content is, they're often easily forgettable because people have their favorites, and they get, so like Sidemen, Joe Weller, Nicole Milana, these top dogs, people have their favorites, and it's almost like a routine. It's built into their day. They'll go and they'll watch their normal ones. However, consistency is so important, because your aim as an up and coming creator, and certainly my aim, and everyone else that's trying to grow, you need to put yourself in front of them every time they go on YouTube. They need to see the Anthony podcast there, or they need to see the Happy Hour podcast. And the winners and the ones that succeed are the ones that are consistent. And you clearly have that consistency about you. You clearly have that drive. So, mate, if I was you, I'd be tweeting anyone you want on. Just tweet them. Just tweet them. If they don't get back to you, they don't. But yeah, go on, mate. What was you going to say?
I do, I do that anyway. And sometimes I think to myself, come, come on, mate. They have over 2 million, 2 million followers. Do you really think they're gonna see? Nothing. But then I say to myself, if you don't try, then you don't know.
100%, mate. Like you could literally. There's been so many times in my life that I have just assumed that something wouldn't be able to happen for some reason. Like, oh, I can't get this, I can't get that, and I've found that anytime I try and go for it, sometimes, yeah, it does get thrown back in your face and it doesn't work, but you have hit the nail on the head. Like, you may as well just go for it. What's the word? You said it annoys you if you get blanked. Well, that's the worst thing that's going to happen in that situation. You just don't get a reply. That is literally the worst thing. They're not going to come and find you and punch you for inviting them on your podcast.
Just to be clear, I know might sound to some people, it's not like I get up with you about it. I'm just like, okay, it's a bit annoying. But
Mm,
what really annoys me, do you know when smaller people do it, and they have like just 2,000 followers or whatever it is, and they
mm,
do it. That's what really annoys that's what really annoys me the most. To be honest, it's somebody like you. It's somebody like you did it with your following. It's more
mm.
believable because you might get a thousand tweets a day or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Am I understanding it right? Do you mean that when you tweet somebody that has like fewer followers and they don't reply, it's a bit more annoying than when someone with a lot of followers? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because obviously people, just as an example, people like KSI,
Hmm.
obviously they they their not their notifications probably don't move at all, at all because they probably get so many. It's probably like an automatic machine at this point. But if I contact, if I contact Stevie, for example, I,
Mm,
I need, I need to respond. One,
mm.
I'll be really.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Now, so this is the thing, yeah. So obviously KSI could get lost in the notifications, and sometimes your tweets to me would have got lost in the notifications. But nine times out of ten, people will see them. Now, this is people might take this the wrong way, but what I've found in my small journey is people like the biggest celebrities out there. They're often the ones that are the most humble, and they're often the ones that are most willing to do something. So I find that, like, when you get somebody that's, so imagine this: Ricky Gervais. He's been grinding for 20 years. He's made all this great comedy, and he's had to work for where he is. So when a smaller person like me asks him to do something, he's keen to do it. He's humble to do it. Where somebody who's been on Love Island, for example, they've got a lot of fame overnight. So they don't think of all the years that they've been grinding to become a celebrity. They've just been given it on a silver platter, so to speak, and it goes to their head, and they think like, oh no, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. Whereas, and I don't mean to patronise you at all, mate. I'm somebody that's been in a position where you were. A few years ago, I had less subscribers. I had a dream to be an interviewer and to do a podcast, and I was reaching out to people and whatnot. Now, because I've been there, I'm more than willing to be a guest on people that I like, and watching your content and seeing the person you are, and how you're up for a laugh. Like, to be fair, like I've seen you have so much banter with people. That's what made me come on, because let's take it back. Let's take it a bit deep for a second, because I'm somebody that doesn't truly understand like your struggles in your life and what you've been through. I would have felt uncomfortable coming on here and chatting if you were really uptight about it. But you're not. You're somebody that I could like sit and ask you awkward questions and stuff like that. So I think the two things to if I could give you anyone advice that's starting a podcast is be yourself, be honest, which you've got down to a T, and like you say, just ask anyone and be consistent. And they're the two things that you seem to be doing.
I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that, mate. Because in terms of podcast, you're one of my favorite ones. No
Thanks,
offense,
mate.
no offense to Judy alone. They got so big. They can't. It's not that they can't. It's not that they can't have smaller people on, but the bar's been set so
Yeah.
high for them personally, and then
Mhm.
and as a podcast, that they can't really go backwards.
You're bang on. You are bang on, and that's something that I've said about it before. Like their model, their business model, that works for them. That's completely fine, and I would never ever slag them off. They're two of my YouTube pals, really. But yeah, nail on the head there. Because when you set a bar that high, which they have done, and fair fucks to them for doing it, that you can't drop down again. Whereas my model for Happy Hour is a bit like, and I'm not comparing myself to Joe Rogan, he's leagues above, but it's a bit like Joe Rogan in terms of Joe Rogan will have quantity on, so he'll have so many different people from so many different walks of life, and because of his audience, there's always going to be people that want to see a guest. Now, for Geordie, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, he want his audience to watch every piece that he makes, and as a fan of him, I will watch every video because I know it's going to be a banger and I know it's going to be a huge guest. Whereas with Happy Hour, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, I don't care if people watch every single episode. I want to give them so much content that they can dip in and out. I'm not going to sit here and expect you, Ant, to have watched every single Happy Hour. But if you now tell me that you haven't, I might end this interview right here. So the choice is yours.
Well, 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 do you know when it comes to people like Morgan and people like no offense to them, I appreciate the hustle, but because I'm not a big fan of their content, I don't, I
Yeah.
don't, I don't, I don't, I don't really care what they have to say. With
Yeah.
all due respect.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's fair enough, and that's what I want, mate. I want I want to have an audience so big. I know it sounds arrogant, but I want an audience so big that no matter who we have on, even a chunk of that audience clicking on that episode is enough. So we just had Zerka on, who's obviously one of the sidemen, and then a couple of days later we had Tommy Innit on, who's a
Uh,
16-year-old Minecraft YouTuber. So not both of those audiences are comparable, but they're not mutually exclusive either. You can enjoy both.
like for me, as I've said, yeah, I love pro wrestling, and I've had a
Mm,
lot of wrestlers on there, but I always I always feel not, I don't want to say bad, but I always feel a bit awkward if I just have wrestlers on or if I just have YouTubers on cause it's not about YouTube or about wrestling. I genuinely just want to have a chat with
mm.
people.
Yeah, no, that's the perfect way, and that's something that I have to, because obviously I just have to bring it back to myself, but that's something that I had to make a conscious decision to, because we can easily get absorbed by the views and think, oh, am I really going to have this wrestler on that I love because I could now have KSI on and get 100 times the views. But you have to stay true to who you are. You couldn't interview somebody that you didn't give a shit about because you would be bored, and then by default the listener or the viewer, they're going to be bored as well. So if you're interviewing a wrestler, I saw one of your recent ones was with some Canadian wrestler. See, I don't know, what was her name?
Uh, Alexia, Alexia, Nicole.
Right. Yeah. See, now I don't know who she is, but I'm more likely to watch it if the interviewer, which is yourself, if you have a passion for that person, because then you're going to ask the right questions. If I now had to get somebody that did, I don't know, it did gardening on Happy Hour, I'm not going to ask the right questions because I know nothing about it, and two, I'm going to be bored, which then in reflection, the audience are going to be bored as well.
like, for, like for example, I, I know you love, I know you love Ricky Gervais,
Yeah.
but I'm really not a fan. I'm really not a fan of his stuff. So when people have asked me to get him on before,
Mm.
because I'm such a nice person, I very rarely say no to people. So to be honest, I'm just edited.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. What makes you? How come? Why are you not a fan of this stuff?
Because to be honest, yeah, I'm never finding that. I've never finding that entertaining for my.
Yeah. Well, I've built a whole. I've built a whole career off of him. So if you don't find him funny, you definitely do not find me funny.
That's probably why I like the podcast. That's probably why I like the podcast more than
You don't have to say it again, Anthony. You don't have to say it again, mate. I heard you the first time.
me. But that's a good thing. That's a good thing about comedy. Like I like
Mm,
people like Kevin Hart. Now I know people that hate Kevin Hart just because they find him annoying. But I love
mm.
Kevin Hart.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, different strokes for different folks, so they say. Are you more into the American humour then? Would you say than the British humour?
Yeah, yeah. Cause obviously I grew up on WWN shows like CSIF things like that. So
Yeah.
it's so I would say I got the US style of talking
Mhm. Yeah,
like
but have you? Sorry, mate. Have you ever seen the UK Office?
I have seen I have seen it. But to be honest, did I did I people did I people rave about it? I thought it was just shit. dear.
Right, we're gonna leave it here. All right, we're going. I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you said it. It's my favourite show. Have you seen the US Office?
No, no, but to be honest, even like I'm more of American style of personality in terms of my humour. I,
Mm.
I just find when I try and say something from the UK, particular states, I just think it comes across as a bit carbon copy.
Okay, yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, well, we'll agree to disagree on that one, I think, Ant.
What do you think of going out? Do you find him annoying or do you not care?
See, how you think of Ricky Gervais is probably how I see Kevin Hart. So I completely understand why people find him funny. But to be completely honest, mate, I've not really given him a chance. I've not really watched him much and stuff like that. So I'm sure if I watched him, I'd probably enjoy him, to be fair. But yeah, I just haven't given him a chance.
And like the US toy shows? Yeah. I mean, obviously this is a lot different, but that's what I want to try. That's what I want to try and do with podcasts. Like I want people to come on and just say whatever they want
Yeah.
within reasonable.
Yeah. I'm on the best behaviour. Don't worry about that, mate. But no, yeah, we've spoken about it a few times. But like, people know that my comedy hero is Ricky Gervais and that I love him. And I mean, you've got me on your show and you've told me you don't like Ricky Gervais, you don't like The Office, and you're not a big fan of my main channel. So fair play to you. You said you was honest at the start. I didn't expect you to be that fucking honest, but, but there we go.
To me, so it's the fame doesn't matter. Fame doesn't matter. Like if I don't like your style of work, I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you. I'm gonna tell you to your face. What's the worst thing that can happen? You're gonna walk away. You're gonna refuse me, or you're gonna get physical with me.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm somebody that when I was younger, I used to care a lot about fame and stuff like that. But yeah, it doesn't really change well, it shouldn't really change who a person is, should it? So if you're not a fan of their style, then fair enough, fair enough.
I know you don't know him on the person level, but if I ever, if I ever had to interview him for something else, yeah, and if I actually said to him, if I actually said to him off camera, look, I'm not a big, I respect what you do, but I'm not a big fan of you. Go for what you know, go for what you know about him. Do you think you would be offended, or do you think you would take it in stride?
What, Ricky Gervais?
Yeah.
You talking about, yeah, no, mate, he would literally, like, with the greatest respects, like, not care at all. Like, he's somebody that has this kind of like arrogant humor that he portrays on stage, like everyone knows me. But when you meet him in person, he is just the most normal man. I think what people don't understand is he wasn't famous until he was 40. So he's lived the life as a non-famous person. So if you met him, he would actually find it funny. I think he'd find it funny if you just said, "I think you're shit. I think your comedy's shit, but I like you." I think he's much like me in that respect. We appreciate the honesty more than anything.
Obviously, some people can say it to me, and I think that just, I think that sometimes that can be just being a dick for being a dictator with me. Yeah. If I don't believe something, then I'm not gonna say your content is shit if I don't mean it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And that's exactly what I've been doing on my main channel for 10 years. So I'm sure you've got a long and fruitful YouTube career ahead of you if you keep that up.
Do you know our group of, do you know our group of I'll be daily jokes
Mm.
look to me, yeah. I understand why they made the content, they did. Because at the end of the day, whether we like you or not, is about business. But to me, if I don't like something, I'm not going to spend what time talking about it. Because to me, if I do, if I don't, if I don't have the energy to talk about so, something, I can't start
Mm.
about it.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're bang on. But that's very much how I feel now. But 4 or 5 years ago, when I was trying to make a name for myself, like I was calling these people out, and this is something that I've spoken about until I'm blue in the face. But so I'll keep it very, very short. But yeah, I they are kind of like, I put them in the same bracket as like kids TV presenters. Like I wouldn't just now start watching some kids TV and then start ranting about how much I hate it, because I'm not the demographic for it. And as a 27, soon to be 28-year-old man, that's something that I've had to learn along the way. But maturity was never really my strong point, and I feel like going back to the podcast, that's something that it's taught me. So yeah, it's good to learn, and ultimately YouTube has made me a better person because of it.
And just let you know, if I start looking over there, it's not because I'm not listening or I'm not interested. I'm just stretching my neck. So please
Yeah, no,
don't.
not a problem at all,
But,
mate. Not a
but,
problem at all.
but I know to the viewers it can sometimes look like I'm not interested. I'm not.
Yeah, that's, to be fair, that's what I do when I'm on the podcast with Susie. But I'm not stretching my neck. I'm just bored as fuck.
Yeah, no, obviously, you don't have to say this if you don't want to, but has there been a time when you have been bored by when you thought this person would be great, and then they just turn out to be so boring and so
Yeah,
uninteresting?
yeah, good question. I mean, yeah, sometimes. See, the thing is, sometimes with like the huge YouTubers, like the younger YouTubers that have been given a lot of fame kind of overnight, we have them on because obviously that's not fucking bullshit. They bring views. That's the main reason. But they don't have much life experience, so they haven't really done much. I mean, we had some guy on once, and I'm not gonna badmouth him because he was a lovely person, but he was, and I don't mind if people know this, but he was Michael Jackson's bodyguard for about a week. And I asked him, I was like, what random stuff did you do with Michael Jackson? Because if you stay with someone for a week, you're bound to like pop to the shop with him, or you're bound to like get a KFC or something. And he was like, oh, can't really remember. And I was like, oh, come on, like you knew Michael Jackson for a week. Like just make something up. It's not like I can call up MJ and confirm it. So yeah, there's been times like that, mate. There has been times like that. But ultimately as well, like I only really invite people on if I find them interesting anyway. So it's very unlikely that I'm going to find them boring, and they have given me their time. So if I sat there yawning, which is something that Stevie does, by the way, Stevie yawns a lot. he yawns all the time, and I'm like, we've got a big guest here. Do you want to stop fucking yawning? I know. I mean, if I ever sack him, I might be calling you up to see if you can come fill in.
Speak, speaking of, do you know, speaking of sacking him, do you know a couple of weeks ago when he said, I've got an announcement here,
Yeah.
And Stevie tweeted saying sorry. I don't, I don't know I don't know whether you were trolling or what, but if you were trolling, I took the bait.
Yes, that's one then. That's one. Yeah, I was trolling, and when I posted it, I thought, I bet this fucking gets Anthony because he's a fucking idiot. If I know one thing about Anthony, I'm gonna get it. I'm glad I got you, mate.
Cause, you do go through co-hosts, like people go through trousers.
I knew, I knew that was gonna come. I knew that was gonna come. There's no getting away from it. You know. Yeah, I've gone through more co-hosts than I have spinners. Yeah. So if I ever do offer you the job, Anthony, don't take it, mate, because it'll be last about 3 weeks.
To be honest, I admire your position, because if that happened to me, by the second or third time, I'll be like, screw this, I'm doing it by myself.
Yeah. Well, like we said at the start, I kind of need someone to bounce off, and to be fair, Stevie's always been there since the very first episode. So it's testament to him that he's still there. To be fair, and the two that were. That we sort of parted ways with was I'm Alex, and the reason for that is very public. It's because it was at the start I wanted it to be a very YouTube drama based show, but then I kind of wanted to get away from that because, as we've previously spoken about, I've matured a lot more now. So
I'm glad you did, by the way.
Are you not a fan of I'm Alex?
No, it's nothing. If you had a whole podcast about YouTube drama, I think I would have got bored. Well, I know I would have got bored of it. Because I don't care. I don't care about any of the guys, to be honest. Apart from Drew, Geordie, and you, and occasionally the Sidemen, I don't really watch many new YouTubers.
Yeah. I think that's the way of the world as well. So you're 25, aren't you? So I think we're in that we're all sort of grown up together. So like maybe, I don't know what you were like 5 years ago, but you might have been more involved in the kind of YouTube drama-y world then. And certainly I was as well, but we've kind of got through that now. And I think, yeah, I'm glad you say that, mate, because I don't want to do a YouTube drama show. I'll still get my titles and my clickbait from it for sure. But ultimately that's not what the show's about. So I'm glad you think.
Like, do you know if something comes up with Logan or Jake or guys, obviously I'm gonna talk about it because of you. But if it's somebody like, let's just say, for example, Chunks, no offense to Chunks, but I don't really care.
Yeah. I know what you mean, mate. No, I don't really, and that's why I lost a lot of passion for the main channel. I've always had such a terrible consistency when it comes to the main channel, and it's worse now than ever because I've lost a lot of love for it. But it has its good things as well, because if I do upload a commentary channel and I do call somebody out on the main channel, then people can trust that I genuinely believe what I'm saying. It's like one of the issues I had with Alex when he was doing the We Need to Stop series a couple of years ago, is he was calling out people every other day. And I thought, how many people can you genuinely be that annoyed with, like, in a week?
To be honest with you, I'm not afraid to say, during that time I absolutely hated Alex because I thought it was just trying to ruin people's careers for no point. I understand if they've done something seriously wrong, like criminally, criminally wrong. If they charge people overpriced for a calendar, who cares? If people are gonna be if people are gonna be stupid enough to buy it, and I would do it too.
I feel like I'm being told off. I feel like I'm being told off by my younger brother. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I know, I made a mistake, but it was a funny video, Anne. You cannot tell me it wasn't a funny video.
But the big difference is with me, I'll make it painfully obvious that I'm doing it for the money. Money, and fair play to them. They're very good at making it seem normal, but I would just tell people, I need them money. So if you want to buy it, then just buy it. If you don't, then oh well.
Yeah, no, that's right, and that's kind of the model that I sort of. That's how I model myself now. So if I do a bit of merch, that's very hypocritical of me. There's no getting away from that because I've called out people for doing merch in the past. But I will say now, like, yeah, I'm a bit skint, need a bit of money, buy this, don't buy it. It's probably a load of shit. It's my logo on a t-shirt. Good luck. See ya. And then see what happens.
Do you know in terms of the calendar, do you know if you would have came out and said, look guys, this is the price. If you want to buy it, and if you don't, would it still have been a problem for you, or would it the fact?
Yeah, no, it wouldn't have been. That's a brilliant question. Yeah, no, it wouldn't have been. It was because it was my whole issue with that was not really the price. It was kind of like how it was branded towards young children, as if, well, this is how much it is. Like that, it's £50, and it was the issue was that with an advent calendar, the items inside are mystery, right? So when somebody prices it at £50, you as a parent, because let's face it, they're the people that were going to have to be putting their hands in their pockets. They were the ones that would have to buy it. One, they wouldn't know anything about Zoella the brand. It would just be their little princess, their little daughter or son that wanted it. So they'd go out and get it for them. And she was able, and this is the thing, Anne, like I really want to get this on record, that it was nothing at her. It was her brand. It was a big corporate brand that had probably said to Zoe, we're going to charge £50 for it. And she could have said no, but maybe she wasn't as educated in that field as she perhaps is now. She's a very successful businesswoman, and props to her. But you're bang on. If she'd have come out and gone, yeah, it's expensive, and behind one of the doors is just 7 stickers, and behind the other door is a little ball of fluff, then I would have had no comedy sketch there. I would have had no comedy sketch. And also, Anne, before we finish this topic, I just want to put it on record that as much as I called it out, at the heart of my video was always comedy. Like, it was just a piss take video about a calendar. My intention was to never go, look at this person, she's evil, she's horrible. And although my style of comedy was probably a bit in your face and whatnot, I don't think she's ever a nasty person. And I hope now this, I don't really know where I'm going with that, but
yeah, we get you. Because as I said previously, my first big break came from True News. I don't know whether you watch it or not. But if you do, I made a video on True Geordie. Basically, to be honest, I was trying to get his attention, and it worked.
You got your YouTuber brain on. Do you find that? Like now you do YouTube, do you find that your whole way of thinking has changed? Like the way you kind of like interact with people and the things you always have to, it's like a shit game of chess. You always have to be like 2 games ahead and think, if I make this video, they might do this, which then equates to views. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, and what the one thing I will say, you know, when YouTubers following, following now, yeah, I don't treat it as a big deal. It's like YouTubers follow me or famous personalities or whatever, because it's just normal to me now. Like
Yeah.
a couple months ago, it would have made my dad follow me, but I was like, okay, it's following me, no big deal.
Yeah.
We don't
Well,
do
I guess in a way, it can still make your day. I mean, I have people follow me that I absolutely buzz over now. Like, I'm a big West Ham fan, as you said at the start, and Declan Rice, the West Ham captain, he followed me back in October last year. I was buzzing. I called my dad up on the phone and was like, Dad, Declan Rice follows me, which is weird because he's 22, 23, and I'm 28. So like, it's just a weird sort of a weird vibe there. But yeah, so I think ultimately, Anne, you are a YouTuber. You do YouTube, so these people are your peers in a way. So you can still hold them in high regard, and you can still be excited when they follow you. But ultimately, you're the same. We're all the same. We're all just fucking idiots trying to make content.
Yeah, the only person I would really get excited about nowadays is somebody like Ryan, because I know if I get the follow from Drew Jordan, he clearly does like you, because he doesn't follow anybody just because he knows you or he likes you. If he follows you, then you know that he likes you like that, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I can give a little bit of proof to that pudding, because he followed Stevie, then he unfollowed Stevie, then he followed Stevie, and then he unfollowed Stevie. And I think now he's following him again, which shows that Brian will only follow people he likes, because Stevie's very polarizing. Like, 1 minute you like him, the next minute you just want to, I don't know what you want to do, but you want to give him a little flick or something. He's annoying. So I understand Brian's thought process. It depends on the day of the week whether you like Stevie or not. But yeah. So does Lawrence follow you or not?
No, but to be honest, I don't need Lawrence to follow me because we've DM'd before anyway. So as long as I've got the DMs open, and then it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter. It's
Yeah.
like to be followed. But at the end of the day, I don't really give a shit, to be honest.
Well, now you've said that, I'm going to go and unfollow you in a minute. So fuck you.
I know you, I know you're joking, obviously, but if you did want to unfollow me, because we've already spoken on DMs, the DMs would
Mm,
still be there. And so if I ever did need to ask you
yeah.
for advice on the guest or whatever it was, I would be
Yeah.
happy to do so.
Yeah, no, I'd never. I wouldn't unfollow you unless you did something I completely disagree with, like say that Stevie's a better host than me. Then maybe that would warrant an unfollow. But yeah, no, you mentioned there. You can always DM me, mate. You can always DM me and ask for any advice. I can't always promise that I'm the best person when it comes to advice, but I've been in the game long enough. So yeah, feel free to drop me a message at any point, and I'll always get back to you when I can.
I appreciate that. Now, what we're going to bring up here, you know, when I was on True News, in that video that I mentioned, I sort of unintentionally dissed the Sidemen.
Mm.
You know, you just say things at the top of your head, and then you don't, and then you, and then you don't figure out what you said. And then after it comes at you, I, and when I did the Sidemen, they, 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 they found it hilarious. But I did quite like the Sidemen. I think they're all really good personalities. Obviously,
Yeah.
Ethan and Vika and Simon and as of recently Josh on there.
Mm.
So I do feel like the Sidemen's content. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Is it not for you? Or are
Uh,
you?
well, before I answer your question, I want to know what you said about the Sidemen that was taken out of context a bit.
But I think sometimes I understand it now as a content creator myself with a small audience, but still enough people to have people know who I am to a certain extent. So I understand it now. But at the time, I
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like they were being really disingenuous
Mm-hmm.
in their videos.
Right. I think you get an ounce of that with it with any YouTuber, like even somebody like myself that tries to portray the most honest version of myself. I think there's still a sense of character because I think if you just sit and you just talk at a normal sort of your normal sort of tone, it's not as engaging. So I know what you mean. I know what you mean 100%. Now you asked me my opinion on them. I like some more than others. Some swans going over there. Or are they ducks? I don't know. But I think some of them are more. Some of them are more kind of my kind of person than others. But what I will tell you, Anne, one of the loveliest ones, one of the loveliest members of the Sidemen is KSI. Like when you meet him, like he is so humble and he's so genuine. And like I always say the same story, and this is such a little thing, but I'm sure you'll understand where I'm coming from. I went to the fight, the Anderson Gibb fight, and JJ was there. And Fiona went over to it. Well, we were all in the group, and Fiona said, "Oh, hiya, I'm Fiona. Fiona's my partner for anyone watching that doesn't know." And Fiona went, "Oh, hi, I'm Fiona." And he went, "Oh, hello, nice to meet you. I'm JJ." And it was just such a nice, normal thing. People would assume that because he's KSI, he's going to be arrogant and he's going to be like just assume that people know who he is, but he isn't like that at all. And he is a man that has paved the way for the UK YouTube scene for many years, and a lot of us wouldn't be in the positions we're in if it wasn't for him. And the last thing I will say on it, because I have a tendency to waffle, as I'm sure you've seen. The last thing I'll say is that the Sidemen are very accepting of people making videos about them, whether it's negative or not. They know the game. They know that we're all trying to play this game, and at the moment they're still hot property. We're going to use them in the thumbnails. We're going to use them in the titles, and they're just so switched on. They're just a great group of lads that are so switched on and so accepting and willing of that.
I I I completely agree. I completely agree with that. But also, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, it's like I'm loyal fans. We get to the point where it gets a bit ridiculous. Like,
Mm.
they have, they have really, they have super hardcore fans,
Yeah.
and 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 in that video, I did say, I did say stuff about that, say, say stuff like that. I think I called them cra- crazy crazy at one point.
Tell you what, Ant, like, it's not a bad idea to try and get some beef with the Sidemen. Like, it's not a bad. Like a few years ago, you'd have assumed that it would be the end of your channel, but now beefing with people is like, especially it was a couple of years ago, but yeah, it's not a bad little idea. If you want, mate, we'll start some beef online. JaackMaate v Anthony.
Cause what made me feel a bit bad about it, you know, you know when I said that video, cause my personal story, because back in 2014, I was going through a lot of personal problems. I had two operations and they went wrong, and I was on, I was on my bed for 18 months.
Fucking hell. Jesus.
That's not me. That's not me exaggerating. That's not me exaggerating, by the way.
God, yeah, 18 months. That must have been difficult, mate.
It was,
Mm.
but watching the Sidemen's GTA videos, because that was the time when I used to do GTA all day. Well, not all day, but every
Mhm.
day. And
Yeah,
them videos really helped me go through a dark time period in my life.
yeah. That's. I'm sorry to hear that you was going through a shit period, but it's lovely that you mention a sidemen like that, and I think YouTubers truly need to they need to understand the power they have sometimes, and to be honest, and I hope people don't take this the wrong way. Sometimes I get messages from people saying, "Oh, you really helped me through this period," or whatever, and it's always lovely, and it is always lovely, but I don't truly understand it because I don't know the person. Sometimes people might say it for attention. I don't know, but hearing that from you there is quite touching because speaking to you directly and hearing the struggles that you went through and 18 months in a bed. I mean, mate, if I don't leave the house in a day, I start losing my mind, right? So fair fucking play having to go through that, and you've kind of given me another perspective on why YouTubers are important in moments like that, and why they're not all bastards and they're not all money grabbers. And even if they are money grabbers, they can be entertainers. So fair play to you for coming out. And I think the sidemen should realise that, and give themselves a pat on the back. They're not just entertainers for people that can just click and watch. Sometimes they are all people have, and that's a touching thing to say, mate.
And the reason why I bring that up is because when I do criticise them for any reason, it's like I'm jealous or I'm being a hater.
Mm.
It's because I genuinely believe that they could do certain things better, or they could do certain things a bit different.
Yeah, you're entitled to those opinions, and why should you? You've got your social medias, you've got a YouTube platform that you've worked hard to build on yourself by yourself. So why not give those opinions? I'm somebody personally that I appreciate feedback. I appreciate constructive feedback. Like you saying to me at the start that you prefer my podcast to my main channel. That's not an insult. That's a compliment because you've got a good head on your shoulders. Like you understand the way YouTube works. You're an intelligent lad, and so to have you as a fan, quote unquote, of the happy hour and not be a fan of the main channel just shows that the happy hour is a more mature product. So it's not an insult to give people constructive criticism, but as I'm sure you'll know as a YouTuber, just a kid just typing "you are wank" or "you are shit" in the comments, like that is not constructive in any way. But the way
I'm not gonna lie. I do, I do, I do enjoy them comments on the rare occasion when I get them because it makes me feel like every other YouTuber on the platform.
Yeah, exactly that. You couldn't have put it in any better terms. I I've had so much shit, and then you go to like who's somebody that's like untouchable, like so like Ryan Toys. Yeah, I don't know if you know who he is. He's one of the most richest YouTubers there are. I think he's about 7 years old, and he opens Kinder eggs. I guarantee you now, if we switch this interview off and we go and we click on his channel, he's going to have people calling him a prick. He's a 7-year-old kid. So if Ryan Toys is getting it, I'll take it as well. And to be fair, Anne, like as you say, you're a YouTuber. You signed up to this. If you weren't getting shit, then I'd be annoyed because I'd be like, why is he getting away with it, but I have to get the full brunt of
like, like, I don't. This is this is probably not a good idea on my part, but on the rare occasion that people take a mistake, I would just wind them up even more.
yeah. I've always found that when people give you hate, that's the best kind of content. You can bounce back off that. You can. Like the lovely comment, the positive comments are lovely. Of course they are, and we wouldn't be where we are today without them. But yeah, the hate comments, they fuel me a little bit. Fiona always says to me, because someone will tweet me something, and I've always been somebody that wants to tweet back, and I'll go, no, they've called me a prick, I'm going to call them a prick, and then she'll go, Jack, stop, and I'll be like, no, like, why should they get away with this? Like, just because they're the viewer and I'm the creator. So, mate, what kind of stuff would you reply?
Like, if somebody call me a retard, yeah, which I really don't care. I think this is just my personal opinion. I think if you get offended by the word retard, you don't have high enough esteem of yourself.
Yeah. Fair enough, mate. And you've got to ask yourself, people that are throwing that word about and whatnot, what are they doing with their life? Because if we look at your life, Anne, yeah, you've been dealt some limitations, right? Your life hasn't been the easiest, I'm sure, right? And you've still fucking made a podcast, a successful podcast. Like, I'm sure there's people in your situation that just think, oh well, I've been dealt this shit hand. I'm not going to do this thing. I'm not going to do it. You've probably, because of your situation, put in just as much work, if not more work, than somebody like myself that can just go to a fucking studio. So people sit there and they can write the retard word or they can write whatever they want about you. Fuck them, because you're one side of the screen and they're the other, and that's why you're the star of the show and they are just a comment. So let them embrace it, and above all else, it's engagement. So encourage it.
And going back to the timing quickly, I think that's my main problem. Like the timing. I know they don't mean it with any offence, but they can they throw these words at you. Not from the Plato, not in the Plato offence to disabled people. But back in the day when somebody was being stupid, you used to, well, we did at our school. We used to call people retards when they were just being dumb, yeah. And I understand why they do it. But I do think they need to be a bit more aware that I am that I am a, that I am a young audience, and even that I might not mean any offense, by it. That word is, is offensive.
Yeah, that's nicely said as well, because when you're 25 and you're quite thick-skinned, so you don't necessarily care, but it's good to think about they are role models to the younger audience coming up, and that's something that, like, we just gave them loads of praise, didn't we? And we said that they helped you through that hard time and stuff. So if you're going to give them praise, you can also criticize them, and I wouldn't throw the word retard around as an insult. Like, that's not something that I would want to do. But that's not to say that I've never had my flaws. So although that's never been part of my vocabulary, I used to use the word gay as an insult. So like, if somebody said something I didn't like, or somebody, like, say somebody came out and they were like, came out. I didn't mean it like that when we're talking about gays, but
I see what you meant, but just be careful.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if somebody, and I've got no problem saying this because I'm not that person. I never meant the word gay as an insult, but like, I'd go, oh, that's a bit gay. That's a bit gay. Like maybe how they do with the word retard. They're a bit frivolous with it. They use it and they don't understand the context behind it. Now, as a 27, soon to be 28-year-old man, I wouldn't use that word, and that shows a growth in character, I think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I did I I did get the opportunity to interview one of them here, and if I brought it up in that way, like I brought it up to you, what do you think the reaction would be? Do you think they would go away from it and say sorry, or do you think they would take the time to articulate, uh,
I,
basically?
I don't think they would try and defend it, but then I also don't necessarily know if they would. I don't know if this is bad to say, but like, need to apologize. Maybe they just need to be mindful. Maybe that's it. I don't think, because as you said, Anne, like they probably don't mean it in those terms. But I think if you said to, and again, I probably know about 3 or 4 of the sidemen. I can't speak on behalf of all of them, but they're very mature lads, and I think they'd appreciate hearing where they can improve.
I was not saying I want them to apologize and stop being themselves, but I just want them to understand. I just want them to. I just want them to realise that there might be a 14-year-old kid
Mm.
in a wheelchair, yeah, and they might go to able-bodied school, and because they said it on the video to the police when they go to school on Monday, the, the able-bodied person might say it to the disabled person, and they might not be able to take it. If you know what I
Yeah.
mean. So they just need to be aware that even if they don't mean it as an insult, it is an insult.
Yeah, well, no, mate, that shows what a nice person you are, that you don't personally take offence at that word, but you know that there's going to be kids coming up that are probably in your position, that might take offence at it. And here's an idea for you, Am. But we were talking about the content that you make, and somebody like myself don't necessarily know too much about cerebral palsy and stuff like that. Would you ever consider making a video on the word retard? Because I think you have a very unique and interesting kind of point of view on that.
Well, I know we've just spoken about it, yeah, but what would you really want me to say? Like, I can say it doesn't offend me, and here's why. But I don't think there's enough substance in there to really make a video. I like if I was doing it with somebody else and they asked me questions about it, then I think it would be a good video. But if I'm just talking about it, I don't think a lot of people are gonna be interested.
I can only speak from my point of view, but or maybe you could interview another disabled person. I don't know, but for example, mate, like going back to me using the word gay flippantly when I was younger, if I'd have seen a video from an actual gay person saying this is why it could be seen as offensive, then I think I would have taken something from that, and I would have learned and to be honest, how you've just discussed that word and the way in which the sidemen use it, they might not even think about it like in that context. So I think that's a perfect way to educate people. I mean, you know your content better than I. I'm just throwing an idea out there. Like, you can bin it off. It's not an issue.
Because the time when I'm around similar to my age to a time, they're like 28, 20, 25, 23 in some
Yeah.
respect, aren't they? So when they were growing up in school, retard was probably like a normal, like, with people, sometimes you can call people Well, and you know what I mean? Like, you know, in school when you did have like different insults,
Mm,
like you,
yeah.
like you did or whatever. I think I know when I was coming up in school, that word used to get thrown around when you were being when you were being stupid or dumb.
Yeah.
If you,
Yeah. I think, as we said, mate, I think I yeah, I don't think people always mean it in that respect. I mean, if I went back to me at school, I might have used that word and not really thought about it. And 9 times out of 10, when people use insults, they're not using it to cause offence. So they're not using that. They might call their friend in the playground a retard, as we're on that topic, and their friend might be able-bodied. They're just doing it to they're not thinking about it. That was my point. Like you saying that opens a lot of people's eyes, and I imagine you have a young demo, not completely young, but there might be some younger kids watching you that see you as a bit of an inspiration, especially if there's some that have cerebral palsy themselves. So you never know, mate. You never know. Like I said at the start, mate. I didn't know that thing about pads and whatnot. So every day's a school day, mate. And YouTube is a great place for learning because that's where kids are. That's what kids use these days.
and to be because the way you do it, you can't really leave a sensible comment in the comment section. Obviously, you're gonna get a load of Simon stands defending
Mm,
them and not really understanding the point that I'm trying to make. But I know if I could sit down with somebody like Ethan, for example, I think if I could explain, if I could articulate in that way, I, I think you would say, I think you would say, like, I can completely understand where you're coming from.
yeah, I think they would. I think they would. They're smart lads, and I think that they'd take it on board, mate. So yeah, maybe reach out to one of them, try and get one on.
Yeah, do, do you know your do you know your podcast with I really enjoyed it because I think Josh gets a bit of a gets a bit of a gets a bit of a misguided label because he's more fitness minded.
Hmm. Yeah, he gets called boring, doesn't he? He gets called boring and old, and I mean to some of the kids, he probably is old. But I'm the same age, so what does that make me? But he is very business minded. He's very driven, and yeah, I don't think he's boring at all. And if you just look at the views that his clips have brought in, there's clearly a lot of people out there that find him interesting.
It just showed that a lot of the kids, even though they enjoy the content, they don't really understand the business side of it. Even like some of you might be considered boring. Nine times out of ten, that's the person on the back end that makes it all work.
Yeah, 100%. People don't see the work that goes into it, not at all. And it's so easy and so flippant to just leave a comment, and they crack on with their day, and they don't understand the impacts that comment could have had. But no, talking about the business side of things, yeah, those boys run a very tightly oiled ship. Is that a phrase? Tightly oiled ship? Probably not. But
No, they're really,
yeah, that's the one probably. God knows, but but yeah, those boys they've got a fucking empire. And fair play to them. They work for it.
you know, do you know the what good podcast? Have you ever watched it? And if you do watch it, what do you think of it?
I have watched it. It's not my cup of tea. I used to listen to it a little bit when I was just doing stuff around the house, but because a lot of my time goes into planning my own podcast and making my own podcast, I don't really have time for many others.
And
In, like, does that make sense?
that exactly my exactly my problem, mate.
Mm,
Because obviously I still love podcasts. Yeah, but I find it if I watch too many, I find myself trying to emulate their style just
mm.
naturally.
Yeah, exactly. And it is good to have influencers for sure. but you do need a unique style. Otherwise, yeah. Like for example, like I did a roast YouTube video at the end of last year, and I noticed that Stephen Tries did one. So I purposely held off watching his one until I made mine, because I know how much I love Stephen's comedy. I would have just nicked bits, and that's not always good. If you want to nick something and twist it and mold it into your own, that's fine. We all have influences, but in terms of just imitating a style, not always the best.
The, the reason why I bring up the what good podcast is because sometimes I feel like they can say stuff in the more specifically timing. Come back out what he said because obviously he knows that if you say certain things that it can get you unwanted attention. But I wish sometimes you would stick to his guns. Like, I,
Yeah, sorry to interrupt there, mate, but yeah, I've told him that before. I think he called out the commentary community without truly understanding it, and I think something I've learned is if you are going to call people out or you are going to make a comment, you better be able to back that comment to the hills. Otherwise, people are going to find flaws in that comment, and it's going to be an easily sort of penetrated argument, so to speak. So yeah, I agree with that.
but of course, if I say, I come across the hate of it. But if you say people listen to you. But unfortunately, when you're a smaller YouTuber, people just see you taking shots at people.
Yeah, no, I think no, I can understand why you think that, but I disagree. I think the way in which you've articulated to me, like you said about the main channel and whatnot, I didn't ever once think it was a hateful thing. Like mate. Let's get it right. You're 25. You're not 15. You're not 14. You've got fully formed opinions of what you like and what might be right and what might be wrong, and somebody who's 14 might think that using the word retard flippantly is fine, whereas you're 25, you've got life experience, you're allowed to give your opinion. And I agree with most things that you've said, and I think that the sidemen are a lot smarter than they get credit for, and they won't instantly just put it down as a hate comment. They might take it on board.
Yeah, yeah. Let's move on from this time because I don't want to spend all day on them because I do have a couple more questions about the
Okay.
podcast. Because
Hmm.
the way, cause the way it's filmed, yeah, I quite like it. 'Cause obviously, you have multiple cameras. I assume so. Like, I like the way you have one camera of you and then uh, tell me if I'm wrong, but do you have three cameras on each person and then you cut to every single camera when they're speaking?
We have four cameras, so we have three guests and we have three close-ups on each person, and then we have a
Yeah,
wide. So sometimes it will cut to the shot. I don't know if you've seen
of
it, but
course. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And the magic thing about these cameras, and I don't know how they work. I'm not clued up on this at all. But they auto cut. So they automatically cut in when somebody speaks, which is why sometimes if you've watched a pod, Ant, you'll know when everyone laughs, it sometimes scats like like it skips through quite quickly and quite rapidly, and we get a lot of shit for that. People are like, "Whoa, why does the editor just cut back and forth every second?" And it's like, well, we don't edit it. Fiona gets the clip, she has the raw footage, and if somebody's not talking, so if you came on and me and you were having this chat right now and I'm talking, the camera wouldn't actually be filming you at this point. And then when when the mic picks up your audio, that's when it then starts filming. So it's not like we get three different layers of footage. We just get one layer that like auto cuts in, if that makes sense.
like I said, to be honest, you're never gonna please everyone. Please everybody. I think as we've spoken about, the quality of YouTube is so high that people expect Hollywood production on every single video. Well, I think they do anyway, from what I've seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, for sure. And that's not what YouTube's about, is it?
Like, like what the difference if you're recording, just for example, 720p rather than rather than 8. I know what the difference is, but what I mean is it might still be a good quality video even if it's not in HD, if you know
Yeah,
what I mean.
yeah, 100% know what you mean. It's the content quality can be there regardless of the visual quality. It's all about the substance of the video, and it's all about what you talk about. And I've learned that. I had the same mistake as you, mate. You mentioned that you kind of made the same. You tried to be a bit too professional with it. That's how I was, and everything needed to look right, and everything, that's not how it needs to be. Like, you can have a lower quality camera. It's just about what you talk about, what you make what you love, and the audience will come.
And do you know, do you know do you know your meal deal? Where did where did you get the idea for that from? Because that's a marvelous idea. Because it's a good icebreaker.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's it. You already know. The idea came because it was literally. I'm somebody. This is somebody asked me this question the other day, and this is how I answer it. So I'm somebody that comes from a normal background. So I'm from a council estate. My mum and dad work normal 9 to 5s. Blah 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 blah. So I always made a promise to myself that no matter if I get any kind of fame or YouTube success, I will always be normal. So I think it gives a lovely kind of angle if you have Hollywood actors or big musicians or all these people, and you sit them down, and how many times do you reckon, Ant, that somebody's gone to them, oh, tell us about your new film, or tell us about your new song? I want to go, fuck that. You're bored of talking about it. What's your favourite sandwich? What's your go-to meal deal? And we're British lads. We understand, because you'll be shocked at how many Americans don't know what a fucking meal deal is, by the way, even though it literally explains it in the title. But as British lads, it's a staple piece of Britain, isn't it? A meal deal. Everyone loves a meal deal. So there we go. Something that was easily relatable and current.
To be, to be honest, my question would be my question would be, what what's your favorite time? What's your favorite type of pasta or something weird like that, just to make the person laugh, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you have to. You've got to try and ask stuff that they've probably not been asked before, because they're probably bored of that.
1 minute. Sorry, mate. Somebody
No,
came
it's
in
all
the
right.
room for 2 seconds. So,
That's all
yeah, as I said, you know, as I said earlier, I took a lot of I, I took a lot of my recent interviews far too seriously. Because I had Natasha Jonas on the other day, and because she's obviously an Olympic athlete, in my mind, I thought I need to be slower, and because of
Yeah.
that, I don't think it was a good episode.
Nah, yeah. The moment you start changing who you are, or how you want to be perceived, or the character you portray online, should it be a character, then you lose a bit of authenticity. And as we said at the top of the show, like, that's what you have. So don't lose it, mate. Continue doing what you do. Continue being yourself. Continue not worrying about offending, because the moment you worry about offending someone, you will offend them. And just stick by your guns and carry on being Anthony. It's called the Anthony Podcast. Carry on being Anthony. You can't be anyone else.
My my new stand on it, if they don't I don't want to talk about that, then I'm just gonna go through it like what the first thing they're gonna say. I'm not talking like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah, exactly.
it's very rarely that they're just gonna hang up unless I'm in a complete art. So we would never do that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry about it, mate. Just go for it. As you say, the worst thing they can say is no comment.
I don't know why people don't do that in interviews. So you can tell when people don't like answer stuff. So they try and give the politically correct answer rather than just saying, I'm not talking about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sometimes they probably just want to cause a bit of a fuss, bit of a drama, and refuse it. We had someone on the podcast once that we sent him all the questions before he came on. He agreed to answer them, and then he refused them on the day. So it was like it was a bit strange. It was a bit strange, mate. But yeah, I have a call at 4:30, Ant. So I've got to go in probably 2 minutes. But it's
Oh,
been an absolute. Go on, sorry.
oh, sorry, I didn't realize. I didn't realize. So I'll just do the outro and then you can go, mate.
Yeah, no problem, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure, though, and I want to say thank you for having me on. As I say, I can't believe I forgot fucking Laura Woods' name at the start. Not a best, because I know Laura and she knows me, and it's probably not going to let me forget that. But I just want to say absolute testament to you, mate, for not letting life get on top of you and still getting out there and still fucking doing a show. And hopefully one day when COVID's over, you can get that studio and make an even bigger go at it, because you've asked me some fucking top questions today, and yeah, fair play to you, lad.
Okay, then, mate. So thank you for watching, guys. Obviously, if you don't know who Jack is, I don't know why you wouldn't. Because a large majority of you are probably going to come to Jack anyway. For some reason, if you don't know who he is, do you want to promote your social media, Jack, just quickly before you go?
Yeah, so I'm Jack on Twitter. I'm JaackMaate on YouTube. Double A's in Jack, double A's in Mate. So chuck me a subscribe. And if you are one of my viewers that have come over to watch this with Anthony, then make sure to subscribe to the Anthony podcast as well. Although, as much as I have enjoyed this interview, and Anthony's a great guy, I will just say that he's probably peaked with this one, and it's all downhill from here, because he's not going to get a guest as good as me. Isn't that right, Ant? Do you agree?
Uh, I think you got too much of a hype.
Yeah, you're probably right. But it's been a load of fun, mate. So thank you very much.
Nah, no worries.